Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Today we're going to be working with the Stampendous Floral Garden Cling Rubber Stamp. And it is one of the rubber ones, and so I'll bring in my Misty and I'll have to take out my sticky mat. So I'm just going to pull it out because I'm going to need all of that area for this thick stamp. And I've got me a big piece of Hammermill cardstock that I can lay this stamp down on. And I'm going to try and fit my magnet in there, and we'll just get this stamped up. Now, this is a new stamp set. Spellbinder sent it to me to work with. And I'm just going to get this all inked up with the Memento black ink and stamp it down, and then we're going to do some coloring. This is going to be a little bit longer video because I am going to show the coloring. I will speed it up to try and save some time on there, but we're actually going to use all of this and make 3 A2 size cards. So if you'll hang with me, we're going to have 3 really pretty cards at the end. Now, I have been sitting on this video for a while because I had this panel half colored. I started coloring it one day and had to lay it aside because of other events that were going on, and then didn't pick it back up until Friday. And so this will probably, I think this is probably going to air on Sunday. And so I picked it back up on Friday and decided to finish the coloring and to do the assembly of the cards, and then finally to get the voiceover done. So this is a brand new stamp, and I'm going to stamp it multiple times just so I get a really good impression of this image. And I'm just going to pull it off, and it looks fabulous. And I think this is going to be fun. Now I'm going to use some alcohol markers on this that my friend at Cards by Shannon had given me, and I'm going to choose some purples and some pinks and then some greens for this, and I'm just going to get started on the coloring. So I'm just using the darkest color here, and I'm kind of going in where all of the shadowed areas would be, where the leaves are laying on top of each other, and where the designer of the stamp made it very dark on the stamp. And I'm just taking this darkest purple, or I guess a dark purple. I might have one darker laying there beside. And I think I wasn't brave enough to start with the darkest color, I think. And then I'll work my way back in. So now I'm bringing in the darker color and going over it and doing that. And then we'll bring our lighter color in. We're going to do this same method with the purples, the pinks, and the greens. And I'll just follow the same method and do all this coloring. And I'm going to play some music for a little bit while we do some coloring, and then I'll come back in and do some more talking. And I hope you stick with me because I think we're going to have 3 very beautiful cards I think you'll enjoy. So we've made some good progress on the coloring, but we still have quite a bit to do with the rest of the pink flowers and then the green leaves and stuff. But I thought one full song was probably sufficient of music playing, so I just thought I'd let you listen to that and then I'd come back in. So just to update you, it's actually Friday the 12th, I believe, and I'm doing this, finishing this up, and I'm finally able to kind of get back in my routine from all the birthday celebration and the holiday celebration and family being in from out of town, and I feel that I'm rested and I can get back into the groove and get back into my craft room and start to crank out some stuff. So I'm feeling good about that. There for a while, I was feeling a little bit harried just from running from one event to the next and just not having enough time to do everything that I need to do and feeling kind of the time constraints of trying to keep my channel up and running. I was talking to Jay this afternoon, asking him some tips on some things on his lives, and he was talking about how he was amazed that I'm able to do a video per day. And I was telling him that it can be quite a challenge to keep that going. When I first started doing it, I remember saying it's not sustainable. I'm sure I won't be able to do it. But I have somehow managed to do it. Now, there have been some days where I have missed, videos on my channel, but for the most part, I try to get something up every day. I've kind of given myself a little leniency with my days that I have lives, that maybe perhaps I don't have to have a video as well, but sometimes I do. But I really, I'm just trying to keep my channel active and provide content for you. And so sometimes I'm not as satisfied with some of the content that I put out there. Like maybe it's not my best work. And so I'm kind of reevaluating that as to whether, quality over quantity or what. So I am pleased with how this comes together. I always say on my channel that I'm not, really a colorist, but I am practicing and and certainly enjoying it. So hopefully you can see some improvement in it. I do have some preferences on markers as far as that goes, and it does help with that. So I'm just getting the green laid on here, and I think I'm doing the lightest color first, and then I'll lay down, 2 other colors and just kind of add some dimension to the leaves as well. So I think this is beautiful. I don't know what size. I didn't measure this, but I'm guessing this is a 6x6 panel here. And, I'm an A2 size card maker. I have been making 5x7s lately, but I want to make some A2 cards. And so I've decided that I'm going to cut this in a manner in which I can get 3 cards out of it. And so once we get there, you'll see what I've decided to do. So I've got a lot of up things coming this weekend. I think we've got a hop for Kendra's Card Challenge, and I've also got a live for Craft and Kimmy Stamps that I'm going to do tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're going to do a recap on her latest release, and so I've got a live scheduled already. So if you're around at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, you can check that out. Now here's where I've decided that I want to get 3 cards out of it. And I'm just taking my Spellbinders A2 matting basic dies and kind of laying them on there. And then I figured out how I could die cut out a couple of other pieces in addition to those 2 A2 matting basics. And I've got those pieces there. Now here I'm just bringing in a bunch of scrap. I love using my scrap and saving. This is Spellbinders. I think it's amethyst paper. And you can see I've die cut other things out of it, and I had them in my little scrap bin, and I'm going to work with this and try and use these scraps to add a background layer to these stamps. And I'm just trying to get this one lined up evenly. And then I'm going to use my Spellbinders small guillotine trimmer and just try and trim this off to where I have a decent edge on there. And then I'll use that other scrap for this other piece. I think I can get 2 pieces laid down on here. And so I'll just glue it down and we'll trim it up and we'll create a border on this. And I did bump my camera with my head because I'm leaning over trying to see what I'm doing. Now all of these are going to have this purple background. They're going to be somewhat similar. There will be some differences, even though I am using the purple amethyst to layer this up. I'm kind of doing like, and this one's not quite big enough for that. I tried it, but I'm going to go ahead and lay this smaller piece down and layer it up. I'm kind of doing the Gina K thing, only instead of black, I'm using the purple layering on these. And I think it's going to be really pretty. So I'm going to get this one trimmed up, and then we will layer up our big piece that we've got there. I'll have to bring in another piece of A2 size for that. I didn't have a scrap quite big enough for that. Now this one I'm going to trim up a little bit because I thought the edge was a little bit wider than that. So I've just got this A2 size panel, and I'm just going to lay it in the upper corner and get it glued down. And then I'll just trim it off just like I have the other pieces. So I think this is going to work out well, being able to do 3 cards with this. So I'm just trying to carefully get it lined up with this trimmer and trim it off. So there we've got all of our pieces and we've got our layers on there. And I think they look really pretty, and I'm pleased that I was able to cut them in a way that I can use most, all of the coloring that I did. There was just a real thin couple strips where I cut off some of the coloring, but for the most part we are using all of it. So I've got these sentiments that are the Better Press sentiments, and I have already taken them, to my die cutting machine, pressed them, and die cut them out. I did use the white Spellbinders cotton cardstock for that. And here I'm using the lattice embossing folder and getting this laid down on my card base. And this is going to be the base for my floral design. And this one I'm just going to take and center it. It's going to be a very simple card, but I think it's very beautiful. So we'll just glue it up and get it laid down on our card base, and then we'll bring in our sentiment for this particular card. And I didn't even choose to put any embellishments on this. I thought that the florals were could just stand alone, and then we've got this big sentiment that we're going to add on there. And I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape on the bottom because I'm going to have it kind of hang off the bottom of my floral design there. And then I'll put some glue on the part that I'm going to glue to my floral design. And I actually laid it a little bit high, and then I realized that I needed to bring it down a little bit. I'm trying to show most of that floral pattern there and just not take away from it. So I've decided that's it. I'm not going to do embellishments on there, and I think it turned out really pretty. So we're going to work on our second card, and I'm just going to take my bone folder and run it against there. And I'm also going to bring in an embossed panel, and this is, I think, Falling Leaves, and I'm just going to cut it down because I want to have a little purple border behind this, so I'm going to just cut it to 5 1/4 by 4, and so we'll trim both sides. And then I've got that piece of purple over there that I have die cut a couple other pieces out of because I didn't want to waste it, and I thought I could use it for a backer. So I'm showing you the pieces that I cut out of there. I'm going to use one of them on my next card, and then I'll have an extra piece for, and these are the emerald labels and tags that are new from Spellbinders, and I really like them. They put some really nice etched embossing on the panel. Now this is the negative part of it. You'll see the etched embossing on the panel when I put it on my next card. So I'm just going to line this up carefully on my card base, and then it will just be the back layer for my embossed panel that I'm going to get laid down on here. And that looks good. And now we're going to bring in, it was a Branching Out was the name of it. I think I called it Falling Leaves. It's Branching Out was the name of that embossing folder. And then I'm going to lay these two panels down on here. And I think they look nice together because they both have like the lilacs on them. You've got a good bit amount of lilacs on both these panels, and I think they go well together. And then the pink. And then I'm going to bring in this Happiness is Florals in Both Hands, and then the try this other Happy Blooming Birthday sentiment. And I think I decided to go with that on here. And I'll just get it laid down. And these are relatively flat cards, but I think they're really pretty. And we'll just add that sentiment. I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape on one side and let it hang off my floral design. So I'm just getting my scissors. I'm going to lay some of that down on there. I cut it too long, so I'm going to cut a piece off, and then I'm going to use that for the smaller area where I need to pop it up. And it's still too long, and I'll cut it a couple times to try and get it where I want it. Now, I took a little break and had dinner with my sister. We had filet mignons and some green beans, and I made a sugar-free Jell-O dessert that was wonderful. We're both eating low carb and low sugar, and so it was a really good meal. And then we watched Craft Roulette. We got to watch Tracy Fear T on there, and she did a fabulous job. And I'm glad to see she's feeling better. And so we watched that, and then I decided to come back and go ahead and finish this voiceover. So I'm just looking at these purple embellishments. These are from Cat Scrappiness, and I'm going to use the lighter ones on this because I've got some light and some dark purple on my lilacs, and so I'm just going to use the lighter color on here, and I'm going to use the 3 different sizes. I'm going to go from largest to smallest from the outside in, and then I'll add some at the kind of in the middle on the left side, and then that will finish off this card. And I think they're really pretty. And I'm thinking I may be team purple. So this one's got some pink in it. So I'm going to bring in a top folding card base, and I'm going to bring in a pink panel. And I didn't emboss this panel. I'm just going to lay it straight down on there, and it's going to be my background panel. And I'm going to struggle getting this lined up, and I'll actually trim it away and make it work eventually, because it's got a little bit of white edge hanging on there. So I just trimmed it away. And I've got in the newest embossing folder from Spellbinders that I'm using on this one. And I can't recall what it's named, but I'll link it in the description box below. And we'll just get this laid down on a card base. It wouldn't be a card video if I don't drop my panel that I've just glued up. And I'll get it laid down on there. And this is where I've taken the emerald etched tags and labels. I don't know what they're called. I think that's what they're called. And I've got too much glue on there, and I'm layering it up. So I've got some etching on there, and it looks really nice. And I'm just getting it lined up real nice and neat. And this is going to be the grounding point for our floral element. We're going to use this to ground our floral element. And I'm just going to lay it right there in the center. We'll get our panel laid down. And I went ahead and die cut the center of that out with another one of those dies, because I just hate wasting Spellbinders cardstock, because it is, a little more expensive. So I try to make the most of it. And I'm going to lay my floral element here, and then I'll have room for my sentiment just below it. And I think it'll turn out really pretty. And there we go. So we'll just get this glued down, and then we'll have our sentiment on there. And I think it's come together nicely. I'm really pleased how I was able to cut that panel up and get 3 cards out of it. So I hope you like it. So I'm just going to recap the cards. Here's the first one with the bigger panel, and then the 2 smaller panels, and then the small square. And I think they turned out great. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.